Today, I'm going to talk about our email template editing options. So we have a way to edit with a new editor. Also, just added a way to better support people that want to paste in their own HTML. So here we have a user that created a very nice email template using, it looks like an email template website. There's creator websites that you can use to create fancy templates. So here the user does not want to use our new editor. So we have a new option to better support this. So I'm going to walk through the different options that are now available. I guess the first thing I'm going to do is add a brand new template and show how this works. So this is the new HTML test. This editor here is a nice, simple, clean HTML editor. It's great for people that don't make their own templates outside of the system, but just need some simple editor capabilities. And this beauty of this one is it doesn't break the HTML very well. It stores it really simple in our system. And there's just a few options here. So you can edit all that nicely with the editor. However, if you don't want to use this editor and you have your own HTML, we have this brand new option that says edit as HTML. So click that and it switches to the source basically. This is the source of what we just edited. Or what you can do is delete that completely and then paste in all your own source from your external program that you used to build your template. Now what should happen is once you save it, the system will remember which version of the editor you used. And in this case, we're going to be using just the raw HTML editor, which is just basically a plain text area. So click Save Changes. And if we expand it, we should see the fancy, the very nice template that the person built outside of Reservation Key. And now if we edit this by clicking on it, it brings us straight back into the HTML editor with the exact HTML that we pasted in. So nothing was touched, nothing was changed. If you click Use Visual Editor at this point, a lot of this HTML is not supported by the visual editor. And that's why it ends up stripping it all out and looking a lot plainer. If we switch back to Edit as HTML, at this point, we still have all of our original HTML. But if we were to save it at this point, then that is when the HTML gets kind of stripped and rebuilt based on what is supported by this simple editor. So if I click Save Changes, now when I go back into my test, we'll see that it's saved just in the simple HTML version. And if we go Edit HTML, that's it. I think, well, it still looks like we're seeing our original. It should not have done that, I don't think. But I'll open up another one and I'll go back into it to see if it gets cleared. Oh, well, that's interesting. So maybe it's going to, I'm not really sure. Anyhow, I believe it would save the strip. Well, maybe it's saving both. So if that's the case, it's just worth testing that out. But I think it's supposed to save just whatever HTML we stored it in. Maybe it's because we didn't edit anything. Try that. Yeah, okay, so now it finally edited the HTML. And you can see it's no longer the version that we pasted in from our own HTML editor. So if we switch back at this point to edit HTML, it should be a little bit different. Although maybe it's saving it in both spots. I don't quite recall how that's working. But that still, it demonstrates how we can go back and forth between these two editors. And expanding it gives you a quick preview of what actually has been saved, which is convenient. I'm just going to repaste in the original HTML that we had and save that. And that's there. Okay, so this, that explains what happens when we build a brand new template. But now, say we have an existing template. This is especially true for clients that were on the system prior to us switching to this new editor. So here we had saved the template in our legacy editor. And so the system remembered that that was last saved in the legacy editor. And the legacy editor also included a way to edit HTML. And that's just using the source option and pasting in the source. And that still seems to work just fine. Because if you save it at this point, and now we expand that one, it'll look just like what we just pasted in. So that is very convenient for people that were using the legacy editor and just want to continue editing their source. Or if the legacy editor better manages the more complicated HTML, that's also an interesting option, because then you can go in here and start typing and changing things. However, if at some point you want to switch to the new editor from the legacy editor, you can click Use New Editor, and then you also, of course, could still keep editing the HTML directly. So hopefully this will now give options for every situation. So people that want to use the old editor, use their own HTML with the old editor, or use the new editor with their own HTML, or just use the new editor. All of those are options that are available.